Hey, what is up, everybody? This is your boy AJTRIP, and welcome to the Word According to Me. These are like my video essays where I talk about certain things in the world, whether it's politics, pop culture, in this case, sports, and I give you like my thoughts and my opinions on what could be, what should be, what wasn't, type of thing, right? And this time I'm doing the thing of saying if I were the college football commissioner of college football, commissioner of the college football playoff, here's what I would do to fix it. And I think this is so done. It does need to be fixed. College football is broken in some form. So in some ways it's not. Some ways it's absolutely perfect. It's only behind the NFL as for like the most popular sport out there. You know, and when you combine them, when you put them together, football is the most popular sport probably in the world. You know, even if it's not watched by other countries, it's still the most popular sport in the world, just because of how you see it and how you know talk about it and view it, everything. It's amazing. But we had an issue with the college football playoffs this year where the dumb ass committee decided to, for some fucking reason, keep Alabama in the college football playoff after getting mollywopped by Georgia 28-3. And they decided to keep them in the college football playoff. Then, after weeks of having Notre Dame ahead of Miami, in the last week they decided to switch and put Miami ahead of Notre Dame because something that happened in week one, which Miami beat Notre Dame, was somehow important. So now let me say this. I do believe that making it to a conference championship game is important. I do believe head-to-head is important. But both need to be with it with context. You should not be looking at head-to-head back from week one when Miami faced Notre Dame. If it happened in week 10, sure, you can do it and it makes sense. It would make sense. But all the way in week one, neither team was the same. And listen, and just because Miami went on a run to the national championship game, that does not change that. There's no way that Miami should have jumped Notre Dame in the playoffs. No way. With that being said, now to Alabama. There's no reason that Alabama losing to Georgia 28-3, and they were ranked ninth coming in, should have stayed at ninth. There's no way. It should have been dropped. They should have been dropped out of the college football playoff. Now, if you lose 28-24, yes, you stay at 9 because it was a very close game. It's a very close game, so you stay at 9. But when you get your ass with 23, Alabama should have not even been there. Now, does that mean that Notre Dame goes far? Who knows? Notre Dame could have lost as easily to Indiana as bad as Alabama did. I'm not saying that you put Notre Dame in there, you would have, it would have been a better game. Notre Dame could have easily lost to Oklahoma in the first round. So I'm not saying that, but they deserved it more than Alabama. They just did. Now, coming up next year, Notre Dame will get a they will get an automatic bid if they are in the top 12 of the college football playoff. So what's gonna happen? So what will happen this year will not happen next year. They've also changed the fact that and this was what I don't like this part. So they've changed it again. It is now an automatic bid for the Power 4 conferences and one group of 5. See, originally they said the top 5, the highest 5 ranked conferences. And I think they just expected that it was always going to be the Power 4 and one group of 5. But because of the ACC and the stupid way that they do their conference things, the conference champion ended up being a 5-win Duke team. Not a 5-loss Duke team. Excuse me, not a 5-win Duke team. A 5-loss Duke team. And for that reason, that allowed James Madison and Tulane to slip in there, where there were no ACC conference champion. Now Miami was from the ACC, and they should have been in there. And so they did have ACC representation again. They went all the way to the national championship game, but there was no ACC champion. So they've changed that for this year as well, and they've decided to keep it at 12. They're not expanding. And the reason why it seems like it did not expand is because the dumbass Big Ten commissioner wants it to go to like 24. And he wants Big Ten and the SEC to have 4 automatic bids each, where everybody else only gets 1. No, you dumb motherfucker. That's not going to happen. No. And it's stupid. It's 16. It's 16 teams is the best. So after taking a quick look at the Division 2 and FCS playoffs, they are at 24. They used to be at 16 from what I remember. They've got 16 like ranked teams. Then they have 8, I guess, non-ranked teams. Listen, if they wanted to do 24, I guess I'd be okay with it. I'm not gonna argue with it. But the one thing I'm not gonna do is like if we would do 24, we're not gonna do the automatic bids. We're just gonna take the college football playoff rankings and we'll do 24. And 2015 was another 2015 was like, well, shit out of luck. But okay, you shit out of luck. We did take top 24 team. But to me, it makes so much sense. It's a lot easier just to do 16 teams. And the fact that it's not going to 16 teams, I think is absolute trash. It is garbage. So how will we do all of these things, right? So this is about me being the commissioner. How would I go about it? Well, the one thing I would do is that I would have to go and get Congress to make this make this part of the antitrust. Yeah, make college football antitrust so that so teams and players or whatever cannot sue. Because right now that's one of the things that is right now. They can they can sue for whatever reason they can colleges and players. So that's why college football is not being off of it. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous. So we're gonna go and make this antitrust so that when we set the rules and the foundations, it's set in stone and it can't be any type of legally mandated other stuff to be taken to court or anything like that, right? So that would be the first thing that we do. Okay, so next we gotta talk about the calendar and changing the calendar, because last 2 years we've had players entering the portal while teams have been in this playoff chase. So we gotta fix that. They've done some changes so far. So for the 25-26 cycle, the NCAA has adopted a single 15-day transfer portal window for the FBS and FCS college football divisions, running from January 2nd, 2026 to January 16th, 2026. This new schedule eliminates the previous December and spring windows, aiming to consolidate transfer activity into one period after the regular season and bowl games. Now, I like this. Yeah, there should be only one transfer period, and in fact, what I would again talking about, if I'm being the college commissioner, and I have this power to do this, I'm actually going to even change it even further, to where it's after, the thing. I would just make it the whole month of February. Right? That's the signing day is in February, right? The last signing day. So make the transfer window February 1st to February 28th/29th, whenever. Right? So you could, that's when you transfer. And yeah, and I totally agree with only having one transfer portal window. There should not be two. You know, and to go along with that, in fact, again, if I'm the commissioner, you only get two transfers. You're only getting two transfers. You're getting the transfer like the regular one, so that where you're a freshman or you're a sophomore, you want to transfer to another school, you get that one. You get that's one transfer. Your second transfer is your grad transfer, to where after you graduate from that school, if you want to go to another school, you can transfer there. So you got your regular transfer and you got your graduation transfer. But no more. You're not doing those things where you're gonna transfer every year, and you're gonna transfer from one school to another school. No, you're not. No, you one transfer. So pick the school that you think you want to go to. Make sure that you want to go to that school for the right reason, because you're not going to be able to just hop from school to school. Not going to be able to do that. And I like the one transfer. I would make it for the entire month of February, and then March 1st would be signing day. Every Saturday, that's when your entire class would be set, from the transfers to the original declarations from the high school kids and everything like that. March 1st, that would be the true signing day. So we're gonna do that. So now I think as we got to the off season, I think we've pretty much done with the off season, right? Okay, so now let's talk about the entire football schedule and things like that. So one thing I'm doing is I'm capping the conferences. I'm capping the conferences. Because we've got the Big Ten has 18, ACC has 17, the SEC has 16, Big 12 has 14, I think, and the poor Pac-12 now has 8, I believe. Now has 8. And other than, but I'm gonna cap these conferences. And what first I'm doing is I'm gonna, because I'm the commissioner, I'm gonna move the conferences back to like the way they were. Why is Stanford in California, that is on the West Coast, in the Atlantic Coast Conference? Why is SMU in the Atlantic Coast Conference? Why are USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington in the Big Ten. No, we're not doing this. No, we're not doing this. So, first of all, the conference will be 16 teams. All conferences can have as many as 16 teams. You can't have any more. The conference, well, at least the Power 5 conferences will be judged on the geography. Which means you might even have to change so the Pac-12 or the Pac-16 will be teams that are on the West Coast to a point, right? On the West Coast. Oregon, Washington, California, and because we've had like Arizona State and Arizona and things like that, Utah, those teams, Nevada, whatever, those teams could go and be in that conference as well. The Atlantic Coast Conference, teams that are on the Atlantic Coast. The SEC, the teams that are in the Southern East Conferences. The Big Ten will be stuck to like the Midwest. We're not going to have Rutgers and Maryland are no longer going to be a part of the Big Ten because they're on the Atlantic Coast. The farthest team that will be in the Big Ten will be Penn State. That will be the farthest team. And all in that Midwest. And then the Big 12 are going to be the Great Plains. Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, Colorado, Kansas, Missouri. All of those teams in the Great Plains area, that's going to be part of the Big 12. You're not going to have West Virginia, who's again on the Atlantic Coast, going to be in the Big 12. No. We're going to we're going to make the Power 5 conferences, geography, based. The other 5, the other 5 conferences, I'm not gonna say I don't care, but we're gonna be a little bit more lax with that. So if you're Boise State, and you would probably be considered more more Pacific than anything, but you're going to be in if you don't want to be in the Mountain West and you want to be in the American, that's fine. And in fact, I may do something where I might combine the American and the Conference USA, so that to where it would be something where it's like 10 teams on the East, 10 teams, more Eastern, 10 teams more Western, and those teams, and then that would be a entire conference itself. I might have to try that with college football, see if that works actually. I gotta try a lot of things with college football 26, see if some of these things would work generally. So we have that, right? I'm making those conferences more back to being geography based. Fine. Bro, as for your schedule, you're going to be in divisions. You're going to play the 7 teams in your division. And you're going to play a team that finished in the same place as you from the other division, making it 8 division teams. So, if let's just say we're talking about like the SEC East, right? So you're gonna play the 7 teams in SEC East, and if you're Alabama or Florida and you finish first, you're gonna play the first place team in the SEC West, and that's how it's gonna be. And that's gonna be your conference schedule, 8 games. and then you're going to have 4 non-conference games. And this is where a lot of people have, had some trouble, particularly with Notre Dame, because Notre Dame's not even in the conference. When Notre Dame's conference was put out on Twitter last week, people was losing their minds because of the schedule that Notre Dame was going to play. It's not a very good. As a Notre Dame fan, I will admit it's not a particularly tough schedule. It isn't at all. But they have that right as an independent to make the schedule that they want to make. All these teams, do the non-conference champions, the non-conference games that they want to play. But as commissioner, and I've said this many times, I've done this video in 2 different ways. This is the 3rd time, basically, I'm doing this type of video where I'm trying to fix college football and the college football playoff. But, so what we're going to do, if you are in a Power 5 conference, and I'm going to throw Notre Dame in there as well. Here's what I'm going to say to you. 3 things. 1, we already talked about the way you're going to do your conference games, right? So that's 1. You're going to play 8 conference games. 2, for your non-conference schedule, no FCS teams at all. No. I don't care the fact that you give them money, you give them millions of dollars so that you can whoop their ass. I don't care. You're not playing any FCS teams. You're not. It's just stupid. I'm tired of Alabama. Because for all the flack that Notre Dame does get, Clemson and Alabama and all these other ones, they're playing Mercer and they're playing Alabama and A&M and all these other teams. No. You're not playing any of these other teams. That's the FCS team. I'm sorry, you're just not. And 3, if you're going to play a team from the group of 5, you're playing them on the road. They're not coming to you. So Ohio State, who love to play Ohio, and all of the Ohio MAC teams, Akron and Toledo and all of that, you're going to go to their place if you want to play them. If you want a home game, you pick one of the group of 5 teams, or play Notre Dame. But you're not playing any of the group of 5 teams at home anymore. You're playing them on the road. So, this is sick and tired of that bullshit. So, that's your schedule, right? Again, 8 conference games with 7 in your division and playing 1 team from the other division in the same place that you finished the year before. No FCS teams. And if you're playing a group of 5 team, you're doing it on the road. 12-game schedule. That's how we're gonna do, right? 12-game schedule. So we got that locked down. Now, for the conference games, yes, there's gonna be a conference championship game. Yes, there's gonna be one for all 10 conferences. The Power 5 and then the Group of 5. Yeah, all 10 conferences are gonna do this. So now, once that happens, how are we gonna get the 16 teams? Well, there's several ways to do this. Now, if I'm the commissioner, this is the way I would do it. 10 conference bids for all the 10 conference champions. You get an automatic bid if you are the conference champion. Whether you're Power 5, whether you're coming from the Big Ten, whether you're a Group of 5 and you're coming from the, Sun Belt, you're going to get a conference champ. You're going to get an automatic bid for being the conference champion. And there will be 6 at-large bids, and we're gonna come up with a committee that will do what they do now, and they will have a criteria, just like they do now, of picking those 6 teams that are deserving. Conference championship, appearances with context will be one. Head-to-head with context will be another one. Strength of schedule and strength of record and, margin of victory and all of those other things will come into those formulas. And then the 50 would, and the most important one, let me say this, is the eye test. How did these teams look from your eyes? And then you would go down and then you would pick the 6 most recognized teams who need an at-large bid. Now, we talked about Notre Dame, and this new, next year Notre Dame, ranked higher than 12th, are going to get an automatic bid. I have no problem with that. I would keep that. If Notre Dame is in the top 12, then they're an automatic bid. So then that takes it down from 6 at-large bids to 6 at-large bids to 5. That you're at 5. But if Notre Dame is not in the top 12 rankings, then yes, then they will be judged upon the other teams needed to get into that 6 at-large ranking. But yes, they will get an automatic bid, and maybe that's me being biased because I'm a Notre Dame fan. Perfectly honest with you, at this point, I don't care. I don't care. Notre Dame deserves it. They just do. So we're gonna pick the 6, and we're gonna pick the 6 at-large teams, and then once we do that, once we have the 10 ranked and the 6 at-large, we're going to re-rank those teams. We're gonna rank those teams from 1 to 16, and then we're gonna go through and figure out, yes, where did each team rank? Who's the number 1 team? Number 13, yada yada yada. And once we get to 16 teams, we're gonna do our selection show, and we're gonna have a bracket, and we're not gonna falter. First, so then how are we gonna do these now? Because right now the way they play these is first round is at home, the second round, the semifinals, and then the finals are all done with bowl games. Well, I want to give credit to Pat McAfee, because when they were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, he said that maybe the bowl games should be played before the season. And I have to think that's a wonderful job. The bowl games could kind of be like the preseason. Now, I'm not going to say that it needs to be all 34 bowls. I'm not going to say that. Hell, I'm not even going to say, half of those. But let's just take 10. The 10 major bowl games, right? What is the Fiesta Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Rose Bowl, Orange Bowl, Peach Bowl, Cotton Bowl, Sun Bowl. That's 7, right? And then there's three other bowls. Maybe I'm not really thinking about, but have 3 other bowls and team. And then just have and you can even keep up with the tradition, right? The Big Ten champion plays the Pac Pac-12 champion, in the Rose Bowl, or things like that. You can keep all of that together, but just have the bowl games happen as kind of a preseason type of thing. It doesn't count against the record or anything like that. It's just a preseason game. Because there's no preseason. They just go right into the games come college football. But since we have a playoff, we're going to get rid of the bowl games. We are. At least we're going to get rid of the bowl game, like the major ones. Like I said, 10. Maybe we'll get rid of 10, or if it's 16 teams, maybe 8. We'll get rid of 8 bowl games, so that those 16 teams that would play in those bowl games can play in the playoffs. And we're gonna have those playoffs happen on the weekend, on the Saturdays, things like that. And then we're maybe the first 2 rounds, the 16th, and then the 8th. And then once we get down to the 4, we will have the 4 on New Year's Day, and then we'll wait 2 weeks or wait 10 days, whenever, and we'll get one on the national championship. In fact, what I think we should do is that, since I'm the commissioner, the national championship game will be the Saturday before the NFC AFC championship games. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have the college football championship on the Saturday before the Sunday that has the NFC and AFC championship games. That's what we're gonna do with that. That'll be a championship game leading right into the title games for the NFC and AFC. I think that would work perfectly. Now, with that all said, let's again go back over what we just talked about, right? So, I'm moving the conferences back to be, especially particularly the Power 5, to be more geographically correct. Teams in the ACC will be on the Atlantic coast. SMU, Style, and Camford, you're not going to be in the ACC. Teams in the SEC will be in the SEC, the Southeast. The Big 10 is going to be, mainly the Midwest, with the farthest team being Penn State. The Big 12 will be more around the plains, and include Texas and Oklahoma in that as well. And the Pac-12 is going to be on the Pacific, on the West Coast. And I think that makes pretty sense, right? A lot of sense. Then we're going to have schedules where there are going to be 16 teams in those Power 5 conferences. And in fact, we're gonna have 16 teams in the Power 5 conferences. No more, no less. 16 teams. And we're going to have split back up into divisions, where the team will play the 7 teams in their division, and then they will play a team in the other division in the place that they finished the year before. First place versus first place, second place versus second place. You get the drill. You're no longer playing FCS schools. No, not gonna happen. And if you're gonna play a team in the group of 5, it has to be on the road. Has to be on the road. Not at home. You're not doing that anymore. So that's the scheduling and things like that. And we just talked about, after the scheduling, how we're gonna do the playoffs. 16 teams, 10 automatic bids for the 10 conference champions. Notre Dame will get a bid if they finish in the top 12. 5 at-large bids that will be judged on strength of record, strength of schedule, margin of victory, head-to-head within context, championship game lost within context. But the biggest fit would be the eye test. What does your eyes tell you? Who deserves to be there, but with your eyes? So that's what we're gonna, and that's gonna be the biggest one, the most important one. So that's how we're gonna select the 16 teams for the playoffs. And then once we get to the playoffs, we're gonna have the playoffs. And we're gonna have the first two rounds, in December, on the weekends. Then we're gonna have the final four, and on New Year's Day, and then we're gonna wait. Yes, it's gonna be a long wait, but we're gonna wait. We're gonna have the national championship game on the Saturday before the AFC NFC championship games for the NFL. That's how we're gonna do it. So then we're gonna do that. Crown our champion that Saturday before the Sunday for the NFL. Then on February 1st, the transfer portal will open. And you make all your transfers. And again, if you're a player, you're only gonna get one transfer. You're only gonna get one transfer, until you graduate. And if you graduate, you can do your graduate transfer. But while you are while you're still going to college, only one transfer. So you better make it good if you want to. And the transfer portal will open from February 1st to the end of February, be it 28th or 29th on the leap years. March 30th will be signing day, and then you get spring practice and everything like that. And then possibly, what we also do is we're going to take 8 to 10 bowl games, start them off. Maybe those would be like week 0-0. And we're gonna have our teams playing those as preseason games, because if you don't need the bowl games for the playoffs. The playoffs are gonna be done at home for for all the games except for the national championship game. The national championship game will be just like the Super Bowl. We're gonna go to different cities and different places. Places will bid on it for the national championship game. But the bowl games that we won't play on those like New Year's Day and everything like that, they will be at the beginning of the season, kind of as a preseason type of thing, where you can still have all of the good rivals at the Big Ten champ takes on the Pac-12 champ, and the Rose Bowl and everything like that. So, bam, there you have it. That is what would happen if I was the commissioner of college football. I think that's it. I think we hit everything. We hit the transfer portal. We hit the conferences, the scheduling, how we do the playoffs. We hit a lot of things there, and I think those things could be integral to making college football even better than it already is. I think it could work. NCAA, I'm for hire. I'm for hire. Alright, y'all. Post your comments down below. Tell me what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think about how I would do the college football playoff. Did I miss anything? Do you think I may be off for some things? I know some people are going to say, especially when it comes to like how to do the playoffs. Really, you're gonna do 10 conference players? You really want Appalachian State in the playoffs? Yes, I really want Appalachian State in the playoffs. I want James Madison in the playoffs. I want Tulane in the playoffs. I want the Power 5 to be in the playoffs. They deserve it. I'm trying to make the college football playoffs March Madness light, and I think that it could work. So yeah, I do want that. But put your comments down below. Tell me what you guys think. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. This is your boy, AJTRIP, signing off. As always, be good to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. And I am out.